Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name's Greg, and I'm making something a little different today. I'm making duck confit. Like many things on this channel, this originally came about as a way of preserving food before refrigeration was available. It probably dates back to about the 15th century, although it didn't become popular until 1859 with the publication of The Practical Cookbook by Henriette Davides. I think you pronounce it Davides. If I'm not pronouncing it right, please let me know in the comments. This method originated in France, and surprisingly, it does not use any butter, although it does use something that may be even better than butter, duck fat. By slowly cooking meat in fat and then leaving it to sit in the fat, it keeps the oxygen out and preserves the food. People have been doing this a long time before refrigeration. I still stick it in the fridge just because, proteins and temperature, it just feels wrong to leave it out. In theory, you can. People have for many, many, many years. Now, I'll be cooking duck legs. Not too long ago, I made some duck prosciutto out of duck breasts, and I also made some duck pastrami out of duck breasts. I also seared a couple up, but I didn't make a video of that. Duck breasts are very tender, whereas the duck legs are very tough. The legs have some hard-working muscles in them. There's a lot of tendons, a lot of connective tissue, and it requires a long, slow cook in order to break all that stuff down and make the legs tender. That said, once you do, they are delicious. Now, another note about duck, you can buy duck legs and duck breasts separately, but if you buy a whole duck, it gets way cheaper. And if you go to an Asian food store to buy your duck, it gets even cheaper. Every single part of it's usable. Make a stock out of the bones and make fat out of the skin, confit the legs, do all kinds of tasty things with the breasts. So without any further ado, let's get right into this. I'm going to prep these ducks by cutting off the very end of their leg there. A little more for presentation than anything else. Dog treats. Never feed your dogs cooked bones, but raw ones, they'll be able to chew those up. It'll be just fine. This first dry brining step is how we're going to get a lot of flavor into these duck legs. So I'm going to start by adding salt, adding 1 teaspoon of kosher salt for every duck leg. Got 8 legs, so I'm going 8 teaspoons. Kosher salt has a much bigger grain. If you use table salt, it'll be way too salty. And diamond crystal salt has an even bigger grain. If you're using that, you might want to go closer to 2 teaspoons per leg. Next, I'm going in with a whole bunch of fresh thyme, a bunch of fresh rosemary, a bunch of fresh sage. Now, they didn't have any fresh oregano or marjoram at the store, so I'm going in with a little bit of dried. For 8 legs, I'm going to use a couple tablespoons of coriander seeds, a couple tablespoons of black peppercorns, a couple tablespoons of juniper berries, a couple of bay leaves. If you don't have fresh, use dry. I forgot to get shallots at the store. Rather than use onion, I'm going to use some dried onions, but a fresh onion would work too. Or better yet, just don't forget to buy shallots when you go to the store. I'm going to go in with a few anise stars. Oh man, that smells so good. Reminds me of licorice. I'm going to go in with some cloves. Got about a dozen cloves of garlic here. And I'm just going to break them a little bit. And I'm going to add those. No need to get the skins off. It's fine. Breaking them like that's going to help them release their flavor. Now I'm just going to mix this up real good with my hands. Just make sure everything is pretty well distributed. Now I'm going to transfer these to something non-reactive, either glass or ceramic. I guess plastic would work. I prefer glass or ceramic. Try to get all this goodness on top of here. Try to distribute it evenly. Just going to cover that up with some saran wrap. And I'm going to leave this in my refrigerator overnight. I want to give this 12 to 24 hours in this dry brine. I want to make some duck fat. What I have here is a whole bunch of duck skin. The fat is underneath the skin. I'm just going to cut it into smaller pieces. Don't really have to, but it will render out faster because smaller pieces is going to create more surface area. Now I'm going to put my duck fat into a heavy bottom pan. This is from several ducks. If yours doesn't look this big and it's just from one duck, that is why. I'm going to add about a cup of water to this. That's just going to help it not scorch as it's heating up. But all that water should evaporate off by the time this fat is rendered. Off to the stove. So I started this fat out on high just till it started going. Don't want to leave it on high because I do not want to scorch the fat. So I'm going to turn it down to probably about a medium. And as it renders out more, I'll turn it all the way down to low to finish off. Duck fat, I believe, is about halfway through. It's cooking on medium for about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to turn it down to low. You can see it's still a little milky. Once that water's all evaporated, this is going to look nice and clear. And we're going to end up with some delicious duck fat. Well, I'm just going to pour this fat through my strainer. And the reason I put it in this pot is it's got nice little pour spouts, so I can pour it into a jar nice and easy. And you'll see once that cools, it'll be nice and white. Dump out that skin onto a tray here. We go on top with a little bit of salt. Always sprinkle from about a foot above. That gives you a nice even distribution. I'm going to stick these into my oven. Out of the oven, these are looking like the color I want it. It should take about 20 minutes at that 400 degrees. However, I think my pan's a little crowded. So if you don't have quite as much on your pan, probably get it done in less time. It's the time to taste for seasoning. Mine could use just a little more salt. Want to add that while it's hot. This is really using the whole duck here. Oh yeah, listen to that crunch. Man, these are tasty. You know, I don't want to eat these all, or I'll probably get the shits. They're so good. It's hard to stop. And this is the byproduct. Really, I just wanted the fat. I think these might be like eating raw oysters, in that everyone needs to find their own limit. But if you found your limit, you went too far. It's the next morning. These have been in this dry brine for 18 hours. I'm not sure if I'll be able to fit all these in the pot I'm going to use. I want them to fit real snug to minimize the amount of fat I'll need. But we'll see. I might have to do this in 2 batches. Going to rinse them off under the sink, pat them dry with some paper towels, and then we'll keep moving on. These are rinsed off. Definitely want to get the water off. I don't think I could fit, maybe. No, I could maybe get another 2 in here, but I can't get the other 4. So what I'm going to do is do it in batches. Got these fitting pretty snugly. It's okay that they're touching. There's still one single layer. That's important. Now I'm going to take my rendered duck fat. Make sure these are fully covered. All right, these are fully submerged. This is a lot of duck fat, but it is reusable. Just got to strain it and separate any liquid. I'm going to put this on the stovetop for now. Once it's bubbling pretty good, I'm going to turn that down. Actually, I'm just going to turn it off. I'm going to cover it with my parchment paper that I cut to size. And I'm going to put this into my 210 degree oven. Put my lid on, 210 degrees in the middle of the oven. I'm going to just leave that there for 8 hours. You can see these are not super exciting looking. We got some flabby skin and some very tender duck. So what I'm going to do is crisp up this skin. Going to fill a roasting pan with about 1 inch of boiling water. Got my oven preheating to about 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Put this rack on top, and I'm going to put my legs on top here. Into the oven for about 45 minutes. Lentils are a classic side dish to duck confit. Going to start by adding a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon. Once that oil's hot, go in with some onions and some carrots. I'm going to cook those off for about 5 minutes. I'm going to add a little bit of garlic. Cook that off for about 30 seconds here. I'm going to add just a pinch of salt because it's good to season in layers. About 30 seconds, I'm going to go in with some tomato paste, a couple of bay leaves, and a sprig of thyme. Mix that in. Once I've cooked that tomato paste down for a couple minutes, I'm going to add my lentils, 1 cup. I'm going to add some chicken stock, 3 cups. Another good pinch of salt, a few cracks of black pepper. Once my little black French lentils have come to a boil, I'm going to turn down the heat. Just going to simmer them with the lid off for 15 minutes or so, till they're tender but not mushy. All right, folks. I don't know how it happened, but somehow I lost the footage from me plating this up and tasting it. So, if you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. Whatever you do, put some love into the food you're making and listen to the crispiness of this duck skin. Highly recommend giving this a try. It was truly delicious, pretty easy to make. Peace.